Welcome to another episode of the Modern Hotelier's Hospitality Hot Topics. This month, we're going to look back at what happened in March. And don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you thought about today's episode. Today, we are joined by the #1 social media influencer in the world and CEO and founder of this assembly, Bashar Wali.
I'm a legend in my own mind. I'm glad you recognize it. Somebody finally does.
We gotcha. So, Bashar, we're going to talk about what happened in March in hospitality, and we are going to kick it off with some of the big news this month was the government shutdown, how it affected travel, and then ICE came to help out in airports. You are one of the biggest travelers that I know, so I'm really curious to hear your take if you ran into many difficult situations at the airport and kind of what you think about all this.
Talking about March, we might need some shots this early in the morning because, man, what a shit show it was and continues to be. Personally, it's hard to use us sort of road warriors as a gauge because we've got the pre and the global entry and the Nexus and the clear. So generally speaking, I did not experience any delays. Part of the problem, though, we forget about is the unintended consequences. Is a lot of the inexperienced travelers who don't know any better, when they hear this kind of news, will be inclined to say, honey, we shouldn't go. It's a shit show out there, blah, 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 blah. Maybe the Iranian drones might make it this way. So I think a lot of what we see the direct impact from is more hyperbole than actually anything. On the West Coast, generally speaking, no issues. On the East Coast, I know Atlanta, 3-4 hour lines, but I show up, I go to the clear line, and I'm literally in within 5 minutes. So absolutely had an effect. In fact, when we talk about what's happened with our industry this year, January was on plan, basically flat. February, we saw a really nice kick, and we were sort of starting to feel better. Then we get whacked in the face with geopolitical, with the government shutdown. And again, I would say 90% of it is hyperbole, not actual, but absolutely has an impact, particularly on the leisure market. And the leisure market has been the loser in this equation. Mm-hmm. And we continue to see it being the loser, meaning the segment that's getting hit the most, and now compounded by this news that is definitely having an impact. So I would say the impact is here, the impact is real, and we'll continue to see it. And again, as you know, when things course correct, even if the government opened again tomorrow, people are still sort of have the hangover from that news. So I am very, very concerned.
Sure. David, what about you?
Yeah, I wasn't as lucky as you. I was coming back from Hunter and I had the TSA pre-check. Clear was down. It was about 45 minutes to get through security. That was before ICE started going to the airports. I don't like the use of tax dollars to have people just stand around because it looked like that's all people were doing. And also it's created in a couple people I know internationally, it's created this fear of, hey, when I come into the country, there's TSA issues, but then there's these ICE agents that are there. And so that fear factor, obviously we already have some issues globally with our reputation. I think it just adds another layer onto it.
David, international inbound could not agree with you more. I was just traveling for the last month, literally across Europe. And there's this sentiment, this anti-US sentiment. And there's this fear again of, there's military on the streets and there's military at the airports. Do we really want to go? And it's not necessarily a principle thing where, Trump is talking trash, so we're not coming. It's actually practical, arguably defensible reasons for someone to be worried. The reality is for our industry, that is terrible news. And I don't know that as an industry, we're doing enough to combat that bad news by saying it's totally fine. I mean, honestly, shame on me included, you guys too. When we're at airports, we need to be taking videos and say, it's totally fine, it's easy, and kind of put the word out there that it is not all that. Don't believe everything you hear on the news. The other thing, Steve, I want to mention about to leisure for a minute is I got gas yesterday. Again, I live on the West Coast. It was $6. So your drive to destinations. So those who don't want to fly for fear of all that nonsense now can't drive because gas is $5 a gallon. Yep. So we are truly, leisure is getting punched in the face nonstop, and we're paying the price. The industry is paying the price. And I don't know, I don't see an end in sight, but I think if I have a message to any of us hotel people, industry people, is preach the gospel that things are good. Gas, I know, is gas. You can't do anything about it. But outside of that, flying is fine. And by the way, I'm waiting to see, because, airlines hedge their fuel purchases in advance. Wait till that catches up, because I'm buying one-way tickets for ungodly amounts of money in coach. So that's going to be another factor that diminishes the leisure travel, the elective. Because remember, leisure by definition is elective. Corporate is corporate. You have to go. You have to go. Leisure is elective.
Yep. Two kind of points on that was companies like Switzerland and Germany are warning their citizens about traveling to the United States. That's the first time that's ever happened.
And that's bullshit, by the way. That's total bullshit.
That's crazy. And then two, about the airline prices, I was looking for tickets to high tech from Denver to San Antonio, $800. So that's not a long flight by any means. So buckle up for those airline prices.
So we talk about this, I feel like, every month, but there's always some sort of independent that's becoming part of a brand. So Hilton is adding Yotel to its Select by Hilton category. So we've got that going on. And then we got Marriott, who's partnering with LaFay for a wellness, type of effect. So Steve, again, we see it. What do you think about another, so-called independent, smaller brand just being with one of the big guys?
Yeah, kind of funny on the Yotel side. We talked about the Select brand being launched, a few months ago. So interesting to see that Yotel is that first brand that's going to be with the Select by Hilton brand. So pretty much, they're going to be still independently run. Yotel is still going to independently run itself, but they're going to have the technology platforms and distribution along with Hilton. I mean, we kind of see this with Marriott Bonvoy points and things like that. Independence, helping or partnering with those big brands for the distribution and loyalty programs. Bashar, I know you have interesting thoughts on loyalty, so I'm going to kick it off to you.
Oh boy. Cancel the rest of the show. I got this. So the Yotel thing, I haven't done enough homework on it. I don't know if it's a sort of a partnership for now to give them access to the Hilton system and the rewards, etc. Usually what that means is it's eventually they're teeing it up for an acquisition to be one of their brands. That's generally what we've seen. You've seen Marriott with Citizen M. I think, look, ultimately the brands have and continue to have a ferocious appetite to acquire those cooler, smaller brands that move faster, do things cooler. They're more willing to push the envelope. That's not going to go anywhere. And truth be told, as you've seen over the last decade, essentially, there's been a vacuum that's sucked up all those brands. There aren't many left today. If a big brand woke up today and said, we want to buy an independent brand, there aren't many left, right? So I think what they're trying to do, because some brands aren't ready to sell, they'll sort of court them, say, well, we don't need to get married. Let's move in together and see how it goes. But I think inevitably their goal is to absorb them all under their umbrella, because Hilton does benefit from a partnership, but ultimately they're in the franchise business. They want those franchise fees. They want the marketing fees. They want to grow their base. I want to hate on it. I don't hate on the idea because it gets you the distribution. It gets you the power of OTA pricing. It does have a lot of benefits. The sad reality is the minute they get sucked in, as you know, sure, we'll let it operate on its own. Sure, they'll have their own team. It's name one incident ever where that was said and actually delivered. Eventually, the corporate machine and the bureaucracy can't help itself. And there's a lot of territorial thing, right? Like if you're someone at Hilton and you're in that select service division, you want all the babies under your umbrella. You don't want some rogue baby on the side. So we'll watch and see. I think I've sort of now given up hope on this idea that independent truly can stay an independent. The question then is, what is the next crop of brands? That's what I'm more interested in. There's a lot of creative people. I get inbound calls all the time from people with great ideas. Some not so great, but a lot of great ideas. The question I always ask is, I say, David, before you start a brand, you need to answer one of those two questions. Are you fixing a problem that has not been fixed by the said brand? Or are you serving a segment of the market that has not been served or is severely underserved? And if the answer is no to either, like, why do we need another brand? Like, what does it need? How is it different? So I feel there's some innovation. And if I hear wellness one more time, and if I hear farm hotels one more time, and if I hear hospitality one more time, like we just throw these words around when the fundamental offering is exactly the same. And there's the problem of ubiquity now. Like everything looks the same. So on the Hilton piece and Yotel, I think that makes sense. LaFay, I don't know enough about them. And I think Marriott sort of obviously sees wellness being the future for the next 5 minutes until there's another new trend. So smart on their part. Again, what that JV looks like. Is it truly a part? Because Bulgari hotels are part of Marriott, but nobody talks about it. So they've sort of left it alone. So will they leave it? Will they integrate it? Time will tell.
Well said. Well said. So, Bashar, I'm interested about this next topic. A list just came out about hotels that are focusing on design and using their design to attract people to come in. The one that I'm excited about is White Elephant in Aspen, which is opening this summer. They have a few other properties. Bashar, as somebody who travels and stays in as many hotels as you do, is there one hotel or a number of hotels that you've stayed at where the design has just absolutely blown you away?
I think design has become ubiquitous, good design, right? Generally speaking, I don't know anyone who says, honey, let's go away. Let's go stay at a really boring hotel. The problem with design, as you know, is that it's very subjective. I may love something and you may hate it. And we forget that fact. And design to me is something that's pleasing to the eye, that's sort of appealing to a broad range of people. It can't be so narrow focused. Like, I don't know, brutalism is a very narrow sort of design architecture, sort of either love it or you don't love it. But I think hotels have a hard time being that specific in terms of design aesthetic, because then they'll alienate a lot of people. We've been saying this for the last 15 years, right? Like design, it's important. Like, I don't know what's new about what you just said. It's what we've all been saying. Now, I think because people are more well-traveled and they're exposed to it more, obviously the internet and social media democratized good design. Like people know what good design is no matter where they are now. It is very subjective. Some of the places I love are really more just centric around the person, not the place. Like, for example, Martin Brzezinski is one of my favorite designers. In New York, he has the Beekman, he has the Fifth Avenue and the Surrey. I love what he's done in London. I love his sensibility. Some people say, oh my God, it's Disneyland. We hate it because it's maximalism. And if you like Scandinavian minimalism, you're not going to like it. I think, look, I interviewed Ian Schrager a couple of years ago and I said, what's the future of design? And he literally said, you know what? We've way overdone it. We need to back off a little, like enough already. We've way overdone it. Back off a little. And I feel like we've become victims to this more is more. And we keep throwing more and more and more and more. To me, good design is about thoughtfulness, intentionality, and it's about effortlessness. Like, don't let the design get in the way of the function of the room, form and function. Now, I don't want all function because then I'll end up with a prison cell, all stainless steel wall, concrete floor that I can hose down. And for an operator, believe me, that's my dream. But then I also don't want to be in a china shop or in a museum. Like a hotel room should not be precious. It should feel like it's lived in. So I feel like I would focus more on quality also, because a lot of the stuff we're seeing is poor quality. So the short answer to your question, design absolutely matters. It will continue to matter. My biggest complaint today is I feel like we've gotten to the copy-paste era, because as I preach repeatedly, our industry is controlled by middle-aged white men in blue suits who think they have good taste and they don't. There are some amazing designers out there. We hire them only to become yes men and women. So I stay at I hire a designer. I say, I love the Thompson that I stayed in Nashville. Give me a Thompson in Chicago. And what do? Copy paste. Rather than saying, okay, designer, I use this terminology. I say everybody's chasing the next thing, right? And by definition, if everybody's chasing the next thing, everybody's going to get to the next thing. And we'll all be there. We're like, oh crap, we're here. Now what? Let's go to the next thing. And everyone goes on the same path and they end up in the same place. I love people who are looking for the other thing. Like, how do we really rethink design? How do we really... Again, there's a lot of talent, but the talent is being used to copy paste, not to innovate. I love Martin Brzezinski. I love Ferndale Hotels. Again, people will tell you it's a hodgepodge of stuff. Kit Kemp out of the UK, brilliant, I think. It's like your crazy rich aunt who traveled the world, collected a bunch of stuff that doesn't match and put it on the wall, but it works for her. But I like the Edition by Marriott. I'll admit it publicly. It's simple, it's clean. For an operator, I would have never said, oh yeah, let's do beige everywhere, because guests are, as you know, will do crazy things, but it works, right? So it just depends. But yes, design is really important. And us saying today that design is the driver, we've been saying that for 15 years.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
David, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't have too much to add. I just, for me at this stage of my life, exactly what you said. I want the design to just make sense. I want to be in beautiful places more than, making sure that it's the crazy, funky type of hotel. But yet, we always talk about it, comes up 100 times. The Lafayette is another, in San Diego is one of those hotels where it doesn't make any sense how it works. When you walk in there and you look at stuff and it just works.
It works.
And you're just like, well, this just works. And And then when you talk about the other part of the design element that baffles me are these small hotel rooms with like a full kitchen in them. And I was just at a property, I won't say the name, in a smaller town, and I literally could have cooked eggs from the foot of my bed if I wanted to, and it didn't make any sense to me. Why did I need like a 6-burner stove and a full refrigerator? And it wasn't like it was stocked with stuff or they didn't do a good job communicating to me. Like, so anyway, so when you talk about the design, the common sense element too, I would have much rather had more room in that room than
It's not
a
thoughtful,
6-top.
David.
Yeah.
It's not thoughtful, right? That's the issue. Is it's just thrown in there. Like I tell people, don't take a painting and throw it on the wall just because. Like, why is it there? What do you want it to do for me? The other thing on design is, I use this a lot, and I use this sort of analogy about I'm in the theater business. A beautiful theater is important to the theater experience, but that's not why I go to the theater.
Right.
And I think part of, as you guys know, that I preach endlessly till death, which I will continue to preach, is the design should be conducive to allow me to have an experience, but the experience I'm having is with other people, with my friend David that I'm traveling with, or with John, the front desk person who I've had a conversation with, or with Steve, the bartender. So I think we lose sight. We keep saying we only want to please your eyes, and your eyes are just one of your senses. Remember, scent is important, music is important, tactility, the way you touch whatever is important. But ultimately, the most important one that I bring home with me is the connection, which is soulful. It's not, again, design is important, but that's not what I'm taking home with me. Now, I do preach this a lot. Once upon a time, hotels were inspirational and aspirational. They were inspirational because you learned about new design, you learned about new music, the mattress, and they were aspirational because you wanted your home to be like it. The problem today is our homes are far better than any hotel. So all of a sudden, they lost that ability to be inspirational and aspirational, where they were the bastions once upon a time. So now, how do you change that? You can't do it by copy paste. By the way, I also preach, and I'm going to trademark this shit. I trademark stuff like crazy. I want more Shazamable moments than Instagrammable moments. When was the last time you walked into a hotel? You're like, oh my God, amazing song. Let me Shazam it. Because everybody's playing the same playlist because someone created a checklist that says, this is how you do a cool hotel. And here's what the playlist looks like. So I am dying for innovation. And innovation doesn't mean put the bed on the ceiling. Like, I want to hear some Afro punk that I've never heard of before. Stop going to the same tried and true. Again, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. That's a problem. We'll continue the problem until we have owners that are brave enough to say, I don't know, to hire people that do know and actually listen to them.
Well, this one hurts Steve. It was on our list of hotels that we wanted to film on the Modern Hotelier media side and our hotel experiences that we do. So it's goodbye to the Goodtime Hotel. So, Steve, sorry.
Yeah, this one does hurt a little bit. This one, for those that aren't familiar with the Goodtime Hotel, it was actually kind of a partnership between Pharrell and Dave Grutman. Definitely was one of my bucket list hotels that I wanted to visit, especially because it kind of was around the same time and started the same time as we did. So it was one of those kind of first hotels that I was just like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for the Modern Hotelier. Definitely a fun vibe. Bummed about it, but one of those hotels that, again, got bought up by a brand. Pharrell and Dave Grutman haven't really been involved since 2024. So ended up getting a $150 million foreclosure lawsuit against them. So Goodtime Hotel is going to be gone pretty soon. Bashar, I know you stay, like I said, in a lot of hotels. Have you stayed here?
I've stayed. It's fine. Just because there's a celebrity name attached to it, like what the fuck this? Here's what I want, by the way. I actually was close to, may he rest in peace, close to having a meeting with Virgil Abloh about doing something together.
Wow.
And the theory behind it was, when I say Virgil Abloh, you immediately think, oh, it's got to be an off-white hotel. It's got to be all these funky, and that was not the intent. The intent behind said meeting was to say, Virgil, you're a creative genius. What do you do to get inspired? Here's a blank canvas. Help me create this canvas. Not off-white, but what does your house look like? What meal did your grandmother cook that really gave you that sort of nostalgic feeling, that sort of triggered those creative thoughts in you? Drink, ritual, etc. Let's go create that space. It won't be the off-white hotel. It'll be a place that Virgil created where he would come to be inspired. And the beauty of hotels is, for celebrities that want to be that creative, is you can do a sleeping room, you could do a living room, you could do a spa, you could do an office, you could do a workout room, you could do a drink, you could do a meal, you could do it covers such a broad spectrum of offerings that doing one thing does not accomplish. So when you say Pharrell, like, so what does that mean? What did Pharrell do? I couldn't tell you. I stayed there. I couldn't see anything. I knew he was involved, but if someone wasn't involved, you wouldn't know. So this sort of licensing deals where a celebrity sticks their name on something, to me, no offense, that's for the bridge and tunnel. But the true connoisseurs of that kind of thing will see right through it. So I would love to see a collaboration with a creative that takes them out of their creative field, I don't know, acting or singing or dancing or whatever it is, or art, and say, come manifest that creative force that you have and creative energy that you have into creating a hotel. What does that mean? What does that look like? I don't think we've seen that before. You see it on small scale, right? Where you have a couple, they're artists, they're sort of art lovers, and they go do a small place in Puglia or something. I've seen it there, but I haven't seen it on scale. So honestly, it goes to show you, Miami is doing really well. For that hotel to have this kind of foreclosure means it was ill-conceived. They overspent on it. They didn't think about it. And at the end of the day, execution eats strategy for breakfast. Whatever their strategy was, they didn't execute on it. And I could have told you what the outcome was going to be. Yeah. Sorry to rain on your parade. It was fine. That's how I would describe it. The hotel was fine.
Totally fine. You brought up Virgil. He went to the University of Wisconsin, so I'd like to think there would be some cheese curds and beer maybe incorporated in that hotel.
I hope not, but who knows? It was
David, what do you think here?
I don't really have anything to say. I mean, it was on your list. I feel bad for you. You wanted to go to it. I spent a lot of time in Miami, and it's I think, like Bashar, what you said, it's one of those things where there's so many of these overhyped properties. Then you go and you're like, why was this $600 a night? Or, I just ate a $30 bagel. What the hell am I doing? So I think maybe we're better off, and we'll find something better for you, Steve.
I'll give you an example. I've stayed at Bulgari hotels, again, Miami, Marriott, I mean. I've stayed in Shanghai, I've stayed in Milan, I've stayed in lots of places, Dubai. And you walk in, and it's like Bulgari threw up and nobody cleaned it. Like there's cases everywhere, that Bulgari shit. There's books, there's everything Bulgari. 2 years ago, I took my wife and we went to the Vermelho Hotel. Vermelho means red in Portuguese. It's an hour and a half south of Lisbon, near Comporta, in a village called Melidich. And this hotel is done by Christian Louboutin, red bottom shoes. If you didn't know, you'd be hard-pressed to figure out that they're connected. This was this creative genius who's in the fashion industry, who decided to take his creativity and manifest it in a hotel without throwing his name or his brand or his shoes or his bags anywhere. So that to me is the perfect execution of a creative, like the Virgil example I was giving you. In fact, I think it was he and his husband wanted to build a house there, decided to make it this beautiful, fabulous place. That I'm all about. I'll travel the world to go see. But somebody sticking their name on a building, like, who cares? What does it mean at the end of the day, right? Now, Pharrell is a creative genius, and maybe I am misspeaking. Maybe he, in fact, was involved in every fabric and every chair and every glass. I don't think so. But if that were the case, I'd say great. But then again, in that example, even if he did that, if the world doesn't know about it and you're not executing and delivering, and you're not delivering the service and creating the connection and the memorable experience, I don't care whose name is on it. If it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate, no matter how big a fan I am of said person.
Well said. Well said. Well, Bashar, you recently came out with an article talking about how size matters. You talked about how the hotel industry built management companies optimized for platform growth. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you discussed in this article you recently came out with?
I mean, look, I'll give you sort of two angles to that story. One of them is on the hotel side, we continue to try to build hotels for perfect guests. I've never met a perfect guest in my life. I am not a perfect guest. They don't exist. So sometimes there's this mismatch of expectations. Now, that doesn't mean go build an imperfect hotel, right? But like think about your audience and build for them. And similarly with the management companies, and look, the management business is a tough business. It's tough to make money, and that's why consolidation, and the big keep getting bigger. But management as a word, and I talk about this a little bit in the article. Steve, you and your wife are trying to have a kid, and you're having a hard time having a kid. and you're working on it, blood, sweat, tears, money, sleepless nights, emotional, and finally you have a kid. It is the apple of your eye. And now you're going to go out on the town with your wife one night. Do you want our David to manage your kid? Like, think about that word, manage.
Yeah.
You want someone to love, to care for, to nurture, to give your kid the best. And hotels that are done by passionate people, right? Passionate developers, same thing. Blood, sweat, tears, money, sleepless nights. I tell people that doorknob you just used, some guy spent 3 months arguing and fighting and screaming and looking at 100 samples to get that doorknob just right. Those who do it for passion. So those people don't want someone to manage. They want someone to love as much as they do, care as much as they do, nurture, thrive, help. And I think it's become sort of perceived, this word management, as an institutional thing, because a lot of the hotels that exist out there aren't that. They're not the passion. Some developer who says, I have this piece of land. Yeah, hotel makes sense. Sure, build a hotel. What should it be? It should be the West End. Great, build the West End and let someone manage it. I'd argue, though, even in that case, the word management, I don't like. So those hotels, fine, can have the big and the institutional, but I think they're all thinking that that's what you build it for. But what happens to the hand-built one that wants someone to care for it? They want someone right-sized for it, that treats it like art and not like a assembly line. Here's another, here's another. And look, checking people in and checking people out, doing a P&L, cleaning a room, like that's the price of admission. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be in the business. So the qualifications to do the work, it's not rocket science, as we all know, is easy enough. And sure, on the institutional front, you should do that. But the question really is, if it is the earlier of what I discussed, the passion project that you want to also make money at, you want someone qualified, because otherwise, because by the way, we've seen the other side. We've seen the artists that have no science, and we've seen the scientists that have no art. So it's really finding that balance between the two, finding someone that understands the fundamentals, that understands that your kid, back to the kid analogy, need the DARPA change, they need to be fed, they need to go to bed at a certain time. But then what book are you reading to them? What song are you singing to them? Are you speaking a foreign language to them? Are you taking them to the park or sticking them in front of the TV to watch TV all day? That's the nuance that I'm talking about here. It is hard to make money. Small is really hard. And I feel like those people who build projects for passion get lost with size because they're attracted to the size and the bench strength. And the size does have some advantages, but this idea of buying power has been ubiquitized. I mean, I use Hilton Supply Management, a vendor, a Marriott company. So I would argue that a company that has 500 hotels does not pay any less for the things that I pay for because it's been democratized. The one advantage they have, David, you hire me to manage your hotel. Steve is the GM. He leaves unexpectedly. Sure, a big company in 5 seconds can pluck someone, not necessarily good, but can pluck a warm body and stick it in. It will take me longer. But in my case, I don't have 150 hotels. I'll show up and babysit your hotel until there's someone else. So again, it's the, do you want a handmade custom suit or do you want to buy a ready-to-wear custom suit? That's the nuance. But I think, again, systematically, because we're all chasing the finance side of it, it's all about the money. Bigger is easier. They're all built for scale and they all keep growing. And by the way, we've seen the example with Aimbridge. They became the biggest and got punched in the face. So size does matter, and it goes both ways. If you build a run-of-the-mill beige hotel that has nothing to do with anything but providing a commodity, a bed and a shower, there's a lot of great management companies out there. But if you really want to create that magic, there aren't that many of them. You know how I describe it, by the way? And I challenge owners with this. If I said to you, David, today, you're building, again, a passionate project and you want to hire people who get it. That's the only qualification, get it. Remember, basics, check. They check people in, they do all the stuff, they send you the reports, the compliance, whatever. But you want to hire someone who gets it. I challenge you to name 5 that you could think off the top of your head that would qualify in that. Get it. So I want you to really think about that and what that means.
Yeah, it's a great point. Well, that does it for the Modern Hotelier March Hospitality Topics. Mr. Number One, this is where you get to let people know how they can find out more about you, your company, where you're going to be speaking.
Can we talk politics? Can we talk about the Middle East? Come on, don't leave me hanging. Always fun talking to you guys. I love this industry, as you know. I am speaking everywhere. Unfortunately, I'll be at Boston University in 2 weeks at their real estate symposium for the hospitality school, not my alma mater. David and I will be at Independent Lodging Congress in Boston also in a couple of weeks. I am going to speak at Wharton, their first ever sort of hospitality conference, not my alma mater, not that smart, and lots of other places from there. The year is still young. I am everywhere you want to be, whoever that's Visa, I think. LinkedIn, obviously, I'm very active. And by the way, again, call out to all of your audience. Please engage. Like, come on LinkedIn. Tell me I'm full of shit. Argue with me. I know Steve does a great job of that. Like, let's have a healthy debate. And I promise you, no AI. Like, you're getting me and I respond to my own stuff. And I love healthy debate. And I want people to disagree. I don't want you to tell me it's great. I want you to say, dude, this makes no sense. What you're saying, I disagree with you. So I love this healthy debate for our industry. But yeah, I'm everywhere you want to be. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, ChatGPT, Snapchat, you name it. I'm everywhere. Instagram. I like to say, by the way, my favorite thing to say, slide into my DMs, baby.
I will vouch for your Instagram. It is one of my favorite, favorite ones. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, March Hospitality Hot Topics. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to be with you again soon. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Number One.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.